Hi yogis, and welcome to this full body recovery for sore and tired bodies. This is the perfect flow to do for when your body is feeling a little bit stiff or sore or just a little bit tired, whether that's from a big workout or if you have a physically active job. When your body's just feeling like it's worked a lot, it's feeling a little bit stiff, this is the perfect flow to do to get it nice and stretched out and supple and feeling like it wants to move again. So before we get started, let me just add in that if any of these postures are feeling a little bit too difficult for your body today, please don't push your body, don't do them. Rather go back to a child's pose or just to a variation that is more comfortable for you. And I'll be throwing in a couple of vinyasa flows, and if you're feeling that those are a little bit too active for this flow, then just feel free to push back to a child's pose and rest for those few moments. So to get started, we're going to stay in a seated position and closing down the eyes. Taking in a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And again in through the nose and out. Following the rhythm of your own breath, taking in those nice big breaths in and out, and allowing your body to slowly soften, bringing the shoulders down away from the ears, resting the muscles down the spine, just letting go of any unnecessary tension that you might be feeling in your body right now. If it's the end of the day for you, letting go of your day. If it's the morning, letting go of the previous day or the sleep that you might have had. And focusing in on the present. How does the air feel around you? What sounds do you notice? How are you feeling right now? Taking it all in and accepting it as part of your practice this morning or this evening or this afternoon. Taking one more breath in through the nose. Pausing at the top and out. And slowly opening up the eyes. So to get started, we're going to come to a kneeling position at the back of our mat. And we're going to start with some gentle back bends or heart openers, whatever you want to call them, just to get the spine moving, get the blood flowing a little bit, and to get that breath nice and flowing. So we're going to start by bringing the right hand behind us, and we're going to sweep the left hand above our heads, reaching towards the back wall and lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. And breathing out, coming back to kneeling. On your next breath in, switching sides, bringing the left arm behind us, right arm up and over, and bringing the hips to the ceiling again. And breath out, coming back to kneeling. Breath in, right hand side, reaching for that back wall. And breathing out, coming back to kneeling. And again, breathing in, reaching the hips forward. And breath out, back to kneeling. And one more time each side. Breathing in with the left arm up and over. And out, back to kneeling. And one more time, left arm behind us. And breathing out. Give that a nice big shake. Next, we're just going to give the shoulders a bit of a stretch. So bringing the right arm in front of us and holding it with the left arm. Just bringing it across the body so that we can feel a nice stretch in the right shoulder. And holding here for a few moments. Releasing that arm and switching sides, so bringing the left arm over, holding with the right. And shaking it out, and one more time each side, right arm over to the left. And releasing, and left arm over to the right. And releasing, give it a nice big shake. Next, we're going to come up to a tabletop position, so bringing the hands below the shoulders and the knees below the hips. Again, if this is too heavy on the hands, just bring them forward, about another palm print away, and that should release some of the tension. Or you can even play around with bringing them closer to the outsides of your mat. And we're just going to push back to a child's pose, so bringing the knees out to the sides of the mat, bringing the tailbone towards the heels, and bringing the forehead to the mat. On your next breath in, coming back to a tabletop position. And we're going to take the left arm and thread it underneath the right. So we're going to be threading the needle, bringing the left shoulder all the way down to the mat, and extending that right arm out long in front of us. Resting the left ear down on the mat, feeling a nice stretch in that left shoulder. And breathing here. On your next breath in, pushing up with that right hand, coming back to a tabletop, we're going to switch sides. So this time, threading the right hand underneath the left, coming down onto our right shoulder, bringing our right ear down to the mat. Keeping those hips up towards the ceiling. Remembering to breathe. And on your next breath in, bringing yourself up with the weight of your left hand, coming back to a tabletop. We're going to extend the arms out in front of us, reaching all the way to the top of our mat and allowing our chest to come down towards the mat. Keeping the hips where they are, pointing up to the ceiling, we're going to come down into puppy dog pose. You should feel a nice stretch in your shoulders. Bringing your forehead to the mat if that feels comfortable. And resting here for a few breaths. On your next breath in, bringing yourself back to a tabletop, bringing the weight to your hands. Bring those hands back below your shoulders. Next, we're going to continue warming up the spine by doing a few cat-cows. So on your next breath in, dropping the belly towards the mat, lifting the tailbone towards the sky and lifting the head towards the sky. On your breath out, tucking the chin towards the chest, rounding the back, bringing the tailbone towards the earth. And on your next breath in, lifting the tailbone towards the sky, bringing the chest towards the mat, head up towards the sky. And breathing out, chin towards the chest, rounding the back, tailbone down. Doing this a couple more times in your own breath. Breathing in, looking up, and out. Letting this movement be as slow and controlled as you like. Following the rhythm of your own breath. Doing each movement one more time. And settling that movement, coming back to a tabletop. Gonna tuck the toes, and on your next breath in, push back and bringing the tailbone towards the sky, coming into our first downward dog of the day. We're gonna walk the dog out and warm up the hamstrings here. If it feels nice to shake the hips left to right while you do this, feel free to do that. And settling down this movement, we're going to take a breath in, coming to high plank. Next, breath out, lowering all the way down to the mat. Pushing up on your next breath in, coming into cobra. Remembering to squeeze those glutes to protect the lower back. And breath out, tucking the toes, coming back to a downward facing dog. On the next breath in, we're going to bring the left knee to the chest and stepping the foot in between the hands. Bringing yourself up into a crescent lunge or a high lunge. And rotating that back foot out to a 90 degree. We're going to come down into warrior two, keeping a bend in that front leg. On the next breath in, bringing that backhand down to the hamstring, bringing the front arm up to the ceiling, coming into reverse warrior. On your breath out, bringing your left arm to your left knee, just to the inside, and bringing the right arm above our head, reaching for that side wall, coming into side angle. And again, breathing in, coming into reverse warrior. And out, coming into side angle. Now it's important to remember in side angle, we don't want to be resting our weight onto our knee. We just want to lightly be resting our arm here, not putting all of our weight down. And cartwheeling the hands to either side of the foot, lifting that foot and coming back to a downward facing dog. Shake it all out. Taking a breath here, coming back to high plank, lowering down all the way, almost to the bottom of the mat, before coming up into upward facing dog if you're ready, and coming back to downward facing dog. On your next breath in, bringing the right knee to the chest, stepping between the hands, and stepping up into crescent lunge. I'm just going to turn around so that I'm not facing my back to you. Rotating that foot to a 90 degree, coming into warrior two. Breathing in, coming to reverse warrior, and out, side angle. And in, coming to reverse warrior again. And out, side angle. And bringing the hands to either side of the foot. We're going to come back to our downward facing dog. Shake it all out. If you're ready to take another vinyasa with me, breathing in to high plank, lowering down, chaturanga. Breathing in to upward facing dog and back to downward facing dog. Bringing the knees down to the mat and resting in child's pose for just a moment. Breathing in, coming back to a tabletop, tucking the toes and coming back to a downward facing dog. On the next breath in, we're going to bring the left knee to the left elbow, stepping the foot to the outside of the hand. We're going to drop the back knee behind us, coming into a lizard lunge. If it feels nice to shake from side to side here, or sway from side to side, feel free to do that. I quite like doing that because I find it opens up the hips quite a bit. Staying up on fingers or Spider-Man fingers, as I've heard it being called, or if you're wanting a bit of a deeper stretch, coming down to forearms and rolling that front foot out onto its side, letting the knee come out to the side, and remembering to breathe here. As we know, the more we breathe, the easier the posture becomes. Or if it feels nice to stay up on hands, feel free to do that. On your next breath, shifting that foot inwards, we're going to come to a bit more of an active lunge. Bringing the foot between the hands. We're going to breathe out, coming into a runner's stretch. So bringing the tail towards the back foot and extending that front leg out straight with the toes pointing up to the ceiling. If it's easier to bring your hands a little bit further back, please feel free to do that. And remembering to keep the back as straight as possible. We don't want to be rounding the back because that'll switch off any stretch that we might be feeling. So keeping the back nice and straight and aiming to get the chest towards the foot, just kind of in that direction. And breathing in, coming back to a low lunge. Breathing out, coming back to a runner's stretch. And in to a low lunge. And one more time, coming back to that runner's stretch and just holding here for a few moments. Releasing that, coming back to a low lunge. We're going to tuck the back toe, lifting the leg off the mat and pushing back to a downward facing dog. Shake it out. On your next breath in, bringing the right knee to the right elbow, stepping the foot to the outside of the right hand, lowering that back leg down to the mat, coming into a lizard lunge on the right hand side. Shaking it out from side to side if that feels nice. Remembering that we can drop down to forearms if that feels nice, if that felt nice the last time. Or staying up on hands or even on Spider-Man fingers, whichever one feels best for you today. And when you're ready, shifting that foot between the hands. And on your next breath, coming back to a runner's stretch. Ooh, the side's a bit tighter than the other one for me. And breathing in or out really. Coming to a low lunge, and on your next breath, coming back to a runner's stretch. Breathing in, coming to a low lunge, and out, back to a runner's stretch, and holding here for a few moments. And when you're ready, releasing, coming back to a low lunge, tucking that back foot, those back toes rather, lifting the back knee off the mat, and coming back to a downward facing dog. If you'd like to take a vinyasa here, breathing in, coming to high plank, breathing out, chaturanga. In, coming to up dog, and out, coming back to downward facing dog. On your next breath in, bringing the left knee to the left elbow again, this time bringing the ankle across to the right wrist, and settling down into pigeon pose. Remembering to keep that foot nice and pointed at a bit of a 90-degree to protect the knee. If it's too much to have your leg out of parallel or behind your wrist, bringing that foot in towards your groin will make it a bit easier for you. Staying up on hands or settling down onto forearms. Or if it feels nice, maybe even resting all the way down with your forehead on your hands or even on the mat. It feels nice to maybe even extend the arms out in front with your forehead resting on the mat. Whatever feels good for you today. Coming back up when you are ready, tucking that back, those back toes, and coming back to a downward facing dog. Shake it all out. On your next breath in, coming to pigeon on the other side. So breathing in, bringing the right knee to the right elbow, bringing the ankle behind the left wrist, and settling in on the other side. When we're in pigeon, we want to make sure that our hips are nice and pointed towards the front of the mat, aiming to bring the right glute towards the floor. Again, staying up on hands if that feels nice, resting on elbows, or coming all the way down to the mat. Remembering to breathe here. And when you're ready, coming back to hands, tucking those back toes, lifting the back leg, and coming back to a downward facing dog. Breathing in, we're going to walk the feet up towards the hands, keeping the knees nice and bent. Just coming into a ragdoll for a few moments. So keeping the chest on the tops of the thighs, gripping onto the shoulders, the elbows, and rocking here from side to side. Feeling that pull of gravity on your lower back, allowing the lower back to release. Slowing down that movement, breathing in, we're going to come to a halfway lift, so straightening out the legs, straightening the spine, coming to a bit of a 90-degree angle, resting the hands on the thighs, and breathing out, hinging from the hips, we're going to come to a bit of a forward fold, keeping the spine nice and straight, whether you're reaching for the floor in front of you, maybe your calves, maybe your ankles, wherever feels comfortable, just resting here. As if there is a slight pull coming from your chest towards the legs without rounding your back. And softening the legs here, bringing the hands towards the mat. We're going to come into a bit of a spinal twist, so leaving the right hand on the floor. We're going to straighten out the left leg, bringing the left hand towards the ceiling, feeling a nice stretch in that left hamstring. And releasing here, bringing both hands to the mat, switching over to the other side, so straightening the right leg, bringing the right hand towards the ceiling, feeling a stretch in the right hamstring. Releasing here, bending both legs. We're going to go one more time each side, straightening out the left leg, left arm to the ceiling. Remembering to breathe. Releasing back to the ground, and one last time, straightening the right leg, right hand to the ceiling. And releasing here. We're going to roll all the way down to the mat, coming to a seated position, bringing the legs out long in front of us and giving them a nice little shake. Next, bringing the left foot in towards the right groin, keeping the right leg straight in front of us. Just going to come to a nice, gentle seated forward fold. So breathing the arms up towards the ceiling and hinging from the hips again. Bringing the chest towards the leg and stopping as soon as your hamstrings are telling you stop, which for me today is here. So as soon as you've reached that level for you, just bringing the hands down to the foot, to the ankle, the calf, or maybe even the mat. And pausing here for a few breaths. Again, remembering that we want to keep the spine nice and straight, and we want to keep the foot pointed towards the ceiling. With each in-breath, imagining that we are growing a little bit longer in our spine, and with each out-breath, softening a little bit further if you can. Again, not wanting to strain the hamstrings too much. And releasing here, giving the legs a nice shake. We're going to bring the right foot into the groin this time, breathing the arms up towards the ceiling, and again, hinging from the hips towards the left foot this time. Softening the arms down towards the ground as soon as you've reached your max. And breathing here. Holding here for one more breath. And coming back up, shaking the legs out. I'm gonna roll all the way back down to the ground, bringing the back to the mat, bringing the knees to the chest and giving yourself a little bit of a hug, rocking from side to side if that feels nice. And straightening out the left leg. Going to come to a bit of a spinal twist, so bringing the right knee over to the left-hand side, not necessarily all the way over to the ground, and reaching the right arm out beside us, turning our heads to look at that right hand. Releasing here, coming back to bringing your knees to your chest. And this time extending the right leg out long, bringing the left leg over to the right-hand side, bringing the left hand out long and looking over to the left-hand side. Only going as far as your body feels like going today. And releasing here, bringing the knees back into the chest, giving ourselves a little hug. Keeping the knees into the chest here, we're going to aim to bring the knees into the armpits a little bit, holding on to the soles of the feet. You can either hold them from the inside or the outside, whichever is more comfortable for you today. Coming into happy baby, feeling a nice stretch in the groin. Swaying here from side to side, giving the spine a bit of a massage. And if you're feeling like a little bit more of a hamstring stretch today, bringing the two peace fingers and hooking them in between the big toes to grip onto the big toes. And keeping a bend in the left leg, we're going to try and straighten out the right leg. Keeping our backs almost as if they're glued to the floor. We don't want to be arching the back at all. Keeping the lower back on the mat. Releasing that right leg, and this time stretching out the left leg, keeping a bend in the right. Releasing here, and if it feels nice, stretching out both at the same time. Or just releasing here and being comfortable in happy baby. bringing the feet together and back down to the mat, extending the legs out long, and giving the body a nice full body stretch with the arms up above our heads. Taking a deep breath in here, the biggest breath you've taken today, and releasing. And one more in through the nose and out. If you'd like to stay here for a bit of a Shavasana, please feel free to throw the video on pause and do that. Otherwise, rolling over to the left-hand side, bringing ourselves up by pushing onto the right hand, coming into an easy seat. Thank you for joining me today, yogis. If you did enjoy this yoga flow, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'll see you again next time.